Yo, welcome to the grand finale of the YouTube content Iceberg by Cerulean58. It's been quite a ride getting here. I must say that the dive has been illuminating in more ways than one. I do want to warn you guys though. The first 2/3 or so of this video is going to cover some very heavy topics, one by one in an unstoppable chain of depressing stories, really gross content, and absolutely bone-chillingly evil depravity. So viewers' discretion is highly advised. With all that said, I know that you're all just dying to see what lays at the bottom of this proverbial block of ice. So let's sink in. The iceberg is now above us. From below, left to right, all around us is darkness. We are now beyond the veil, stuck in a world of depravity and everlasting black. Do not wander in this place. For if you do, you might become lost amongst the monsters that hide in its murk. This is a place that almost no one should go. I hope you're ready. We have nowhere to go but further down. And while we shall look at all the lights, the monsters beckoning us to come and look at them, do not stray too close. Their vacuumous maws shall consume you completely, should you do so. Let us pray that we get out of here with not just our lives, but our souls as well. Dan Cilley. Dan Cilley is a 33-year-old man who's the self-proclaimed downtown LA predator. Cilley has a reputation for wandering the streets of LA, taping literal hours upon hours worth of video of him initiating crude, sexual, and downright disgusting conversations with women, many of whom are under the age of 18, and then uploaded said videos to his YouTube channel.
Hi, I like you. Those are cool earrings. Like, what do you call them? Ear gauges? What are they called? Yeah, gauges, man. Nice. Like, I've never seen that before. That's unique. Cool. Happy first day. Happy December 1st. Whee! The world is my playground.
Has also been known for stalking women as well as grabbing them unprovoked. He's been at this for at least a good 5 years, and the more one looks into this man's story and his psyche, the more disturbing he becomes. One of his earlier videos was titled, "I Will Grab Women Soon," with a description that reads the following, quote, "I am going to grab women. Don't you want to grab them? Squeeze them? I'm going to grab them, but only if they want me to. It will be annoying asking so many times, but they could get me arrested if they happen to not want me to grab them, and I do. I am very happy right now. I have energy. I feel dominant. I want to own women. I want to impregnate them. I want to claim the women I want who I happen to see when I am going about my day." Unquote. He continues saying, quote, "The best life is when you have sex whenever you want, and woman is happy to please you. The woman wants to cook you food and clean the house, and is happy all the time because she is healthy and is not a food/drug addict. She cannot drink caffeine, eat dairy, wheat, refined sugar, MSG, etc. It won't work. She should also not be on social media." Unquote. The rant goes on, but I think you get the point. The guy is creepy in every sense of the word. Dan Cilley, as well as his alt account, Daniel Cilley, is yet another ugly and uncomfortable look into the world of someone truly disturbing. However, while many other entries before now played with the idea of being a stalker of women or something of that sort, usually connected to an ARG or just an art project, this is real. An actual predator that, given the time and chance, might seriously try to cause damage to someone, adult or minor. Dan has gotten into plenty of legal problems due to his behavior and general infamy, so at the very least, people are aware and ready to stop him. But all the same, the brashness by which he displays his wickedness and degeneracy is quite alarming. The Station nightclub fire. On February 20th, 2003, 100 people lost their lives and 230 were injured in what has been described as one of the deadliest nightclub fires in US history. The footage, as can be found on YouTuber Horror Stories channel, showcases the outbreak of the fire in real time as people begin to run, scream, and panic as the fire and smoke spreads. The fire itself was caused by pyrotechnics went haywire during the band Brave Light's opening song. As soon as the stage was set ablaze, people went rushing through the narrow hallways out of the building. In a panic, people were actually trampled to death in an attempt by others to get out faster through the tight opening. It was a terrible tragedy that left so many losing their lives and everyone else with scars, both physically and emotionally. The owners of the nightclub would be charged with nearly 100 cases of involuntary manslaughter, and mainly due to the fact that had the building had a fire sprinkler system in place, it would have given everyone enough safety to leave the building while it quelled the fire. Yet the club had no such sprinkler system due to a technicality in the building's old architecture, a technicality that just so happened to not apply anymore by the time that fateful night happened. Beechel, one of the owners of the club, would plead guilty to these charges against his lawyer's advisement for the overwhelming guilt he felt over the tragedy. He was charged with 15 years in prison, but after much outcry by the local community, he would eventually be let out early via parole as the community and the families expressed sympathy for the man. As his time in prison, he had written letters to each and every one of the families of the 100 victims while he was there. In the end, this video showcases a disaster and reactions of all those caught within it, and for that reason, it can be one of the most uncomfortable watches on YouTube, knowing that so many, despite their best efforts, wouldn't escape that building that night. Beauty community ring. Alright guys, I'm gonna cut through the bullshit on this one. If you're familiar with channels like James Charles, Shane Dawson, and Jeffree Star, then you probably have some cursory knowledge of the constant spouts of drama that come from these ultra popular channels that all fall under the umbrella of the beauty community. If you don't know who any of these people are, and or don't know the drama, all you really need to know is that the community is constantly starting drama with one another, or as they say, spilling the tea, which is a phrase that actively makes me want to end myself, and trying to constantly one-up each other, all to the praise and admiration of their audience. The claim that each and every one of these people are a what has been accused by many of them or onto each other, as well as random fans and the like. Now, to my knowledge, and from what I have researched, there is no hard evidence of this. However, James Charles has recently been accused of talking sexually to several underage people. Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson have also been accused of this in the past, and I'm gonna be fucking frank with you guys. I've looked at the drama, I've looked at the receipts, I've looked at all this shit, and to me, a lot of this seems like a waste of time. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe there is an actual pedophile amongst them, and if there is, or at least a groomer, at the very least. And if there is, well then yes, and they should be, you know, put in jail. I could go through the years worth of drama this community has created, or the fact that it's people like them that so willy-nilly accuse each other of crazy evil things that makes people not want to believe actual victims and desensitizes people to these topics, but I won't. Instead, I'll just say, to my knowledge, none of them are but I hold none of them in particularly high opinion regardless. Russian death files videos. So I won't lie, this is one of those ones that was a bit difficult to find much about. After searching it through my traditional means, I was coming out with nothing, and no one having talked about the topic anywhere. So thank you to this Iceberg's creator, Cerulean58, for helping me out with this topic. It seems this topic is specifically talking about a bunch of Russian creepypastas and this channel full of creepy and weird videos connected with them. Now, I'd be lying if I said what exactly the full context for these videos are, but honestly, they just seem to be some super obscure creepypasta videos, and I think that's enough context for you to get the picture. So, why don't we take a look at several of them, shall we? Now, before Cerulean58 explained to me what this topic was referring to, I originally thought it was connected to Russian shock videos, which, while not necessarily on YouTube, on a broader scale, if you aren't aware, some of the most extremely infamous gore videos / snuff films originate from Russia. Like some of the worst and cursed not safe for life shit that you can imagine. Our next entry also stems from Russia and is also connected to death. It was on YouTube for a while, at least long enough to become infamously known as one of the most disturbing pieces of content ever hosted on the platform. "1444. So this is one of those videos that could very easily justify the do not research tag that is often associated with the Iceberg charts. Back in 2019, a gruesome shock video made its rounds online, mixed in with rickrolls and other forms of video, as well as being uploaded to YouTube itself under the name of 1444. The video itself consists of a young man sitting on a couch before pulling out a Sega 4 carbine and shooting himself in the head. The young man was apparently named Gleb Koroblev and was only 18 years old and was a university student in Moscow, Russia. The video originally originates from a live stream hosted by Gleb on a popular Russian social media platform called VK. Before he committed Asu, Gleb warned a friend of his not to tell his parents too soon about this, and then said the phrase "Nyan Bai," which apparently is a sort of a meme over in Russia. Yeah, it's actually so common for random people to live stream offing themselves in Russia that there are literally memes around the practice. There was apparently no note or reason given for why Gleb killed himself, and the actual video itself stayed up on the streaming platform for some time, and was later re-uploaded and shared all around, including YouTube, where it actually stayed up close to a whole week before eventually being taken down. The actual video is extremely disturbing and not something I would suggest you go looking up unless you are particularly well attuned to this sort of stuff, because having caught a glimpse of it myself in the research for this video, I can tell you that the imagery stuck with me a good while after seeing it. Live streamed /Asu. While the last video's livestream was connected to VK, there have been quite a few cases of the same thing happening via livestream on YouTube. One such example would be on March 14th, 2018, when a young man who went by Shelby on YouTube committed Asu via a military KSG tactical shotgun to his head on YouTube Live. On that day, Shelby would start a stream titled Bye and got into a Discord call with his friends. He held up a piece of paper at one point that said Bye/RK9 as he frequented the board on 4chan. Shortly after this, around the 7-minute mark of the stream, he then ended his life, at which point you can hear people on the Discord call screaming and pleading with him, shocked and destroyed at what they just saw their friend do. Worst yet, the livestream continues for nearly an hour, the body eventually being discovered by his mother on the livestream. His mom in absolute and painful distress as she calls 911. All of which has been recorded via the livestream. The footage is well known for being extremely upsetting and tragic, even more so when one looks into the why of this Asu stream. Shelby was only 19 years old and had apparently been suffering from depression for a long time up to that point, and according to some, had been questioning his sexuality. Before this live stream, Shelby was actively being groomed by a user on Discord who went by Reiko. Reiko also frequented the RK9 boards on 4chan as well, and him and his posse of evil, sick degenerates became well known for gaining the trust of boys with physical insecurities, and through manipulation gets them to dress up in girly clothes and send them their pictures. Then, once they have the pictures, they then dox the boys and blackmail them into taking HRT or hormone replacement therapy under the threat that they will send these pictures to all their friends and family. Shelby was one of these shit-stains victims. Shelby having been blackmailed into taking HRT and eventually, out of shame, harassment, and fear, ended his own life. None of these people that had anything to do with this have been prosecuted, and so they are more than likely still out there continuing to do this through one means or another, bending young boys to their will and into their sick, perverted desires. Another example of this upsetting topic is that of Caitlin Davis, known by her username It's Dolly, who was a 12-year-old American girl who committed suicide on December 30th, 2016. She hanged herself from a tree in her backyard while live streaming the event to live.me. The video was then shared on social media, YouTube, and Facebook. Davis was an active blogger on multiple social media sites and recorded dozens of videos in the last month of her life. The videos detailed insight upon the experiences in her life leading up to that day of her death. In various videos, she sings, shares spiritual philosophy, or takes care of her two younger siblings. In other videos, she argues with her mother, alleges criminal activity, breaks down emotionally, and claims being neglected by her biological father alongside being physically and abused by her stepfather. In one of her videos, she mentioned that her stepfather encouraged her to kill herself, that it would somehow be best for everyone. Davis had several other previous suicide attempts, the most recent before her hanging through a medication overdose, for which she was hospitalized. She also engaged in self-harm, cutting up her wrists and thighs just a few days before her death. She also sought to help others overcome problems with both self-harm and depression before her own end. I could continue on, but I think you guys get the point. Talking about this stuff and the tragic lives these people had, and those who pushed them into deciding the worst possible solution to their problems, makes me feel ill at the injustice and misfortune and evil of it all. No filter. Suicide is never the answer. But when there are those who prey on people at their weakest, it becomes easier to grasp why they felt this was the only way out of their constant pain. There is a special place in hell for those who push others into taking their own life. I can only hope that those who have taken their own lives here, those that were pushed into this by evil individuals, be they groomers or family members or both, are at the very least in a better place now. YouTube hacked. So this entry I had almost no idea what it was referring to, since searching it up gets a million results for a million different things. However, luckily the Iceberg creator Cerulean58 was nice enough to provide me some answers, so once again shout out to them. Seriously, I hope you make another Iceberg someday. This one is amazing. Anyway, this entry refers to an actual video that was connected to the May 8th hack from the last video, where the YouTube pooper hacked the entire website. This entry is basically the lost media video of May 8's actually showing himself doing it. It's been forever lost to time at this point, so I don't have much more to showcase here, unfortunately. However, since we are so far down, I sort of feel like it's a good opportunity to throw in something else. So, you know what that means. It's time for another Mr. Night Owl bonus, which is the Lost YouTube Award. A good friend of mine suggested this one to me, and frankly, I feel as though a more lighthearted topic is needed before we dive back into the darkness. As covered in detail by YouTuber The Tekkit Realm, there was once a YouTube award in the same vein as the silver, gold, and diamond plaques which you get for reaching 100k, 1 million, and 10 million subs respectively. There was also a YouTube award given out to only a mere 400 or so people, which looked like this, which was awarded to an individual if they gained 10 million views on a single video. Basically going mega viral. It was only given out for about a year or so around 2014 before being discontinued, mainly due to most of the rewards being given out to one-hit wonder sorts of people. You know, the sorts of channels that have that one super popular video that goes down in the history books of the site, but not really much else. Well, those are the main ones getting these awards, and it appeared YouTube just didn't want to keep giving them to people that weren't really dedicated to YouTube. I think they were also worried that these randos might start selling them off on eBay as well. I'd also guess it's because on some level getting a viral video is kind of random, whereas getting 100k or 1 million subscribers not only takes time, but it's also something that has to be worked at for a long time. In other words, those creators have clearly given to the YouTube community in a meaningful way, thus the award. Anyway, it's now a super rare award that almost no one knows about because so few people got it to begin with. Obscure Fetish Channels / Leathersmokmi. So in case you didn't know, YouTube is host to all sorts of content specifically made to appease people's fetishes. Some of these being well known while others are far more hidden. We looked at the eyeball touching / licking fetish a while back, but what about a fetish centered around watching someone smoke buckets upon buckets of cigarettes, getting off to the idea and reality of their bodies slowly decaying and ultimately dying from smoking so much? Sound kind of weird? Well, YouTuber Leathersmokmi's channel, which helms all the way back to 2006, centered around just that. Leathersmokmi was a channel run by a man named Dave who, well, smoked a lot. From smoking a pack, to smoking 5 or 10 at the same time on his mouth, to setting up an elaborate ways to smoke from gas masks and other such things. Dave basically just showcased his habit for the whole world to see, which would eventually age the guy dramatically, give him oral cancer, and eventually kill him. The channel is sad in of itself due to it showcasing one man's downward spiral and what many might call suicide by cigarettes, with just how bonkers he gets with them. Which is sort of apt, because this channel wasn't just made by some guy wanting to record himself smoking. It was made with the purpose of appeasing the fetish I mentioned earlier, showcasing a gradual decay by cigarettes that for some godforsaken reason some people really get off to. In a way, it's sort of a fetish centered around slowly poisoning and killing oneself. So yeah, pretty strange and disgusting if you were to ask me. But I guess Dave went out doing what he loves at the very least, as tragic a hobby and fetish as it was. There are other channels like Dave's that center around basically the same thing as well, although this smoking fetish is far from the only disturbing fetish that can be found here on YouTube. Though one that's less disturbing and more odd would be VidFeet Love, a channel dedicated to showcasing the feet of random animated show characters, and that's pretty much it, I guess. But on the topic of feet, there was once a channel called Boots, made for crushing, which as you might imagine focused on boots, crushing stuff, from food to household items, etc. However, it was later discovered that this user had a second account by the name of Boots666, of whom's videos were all in a playlist unlisted from the main channel, which centered around those same pair of boots crushing innocent animals. These could range from bugs to toads to apparently kittens, all of which was made and uploaded to YouTube to satisfy what is known as the crushing fetish. This was sort of a big deal back in the day when it was first discovered, especially since the methodology of how he shared these videos was quite scary. Scary because it showcased a method in which disturbing content can be shared through YouTube and actually stay up for some time through these privately shared playlists. It makes one wonder what other content is out there hiding behind these barriers on YouTube. Unrelated, the channel I actually dedicated a whole video to a while back, Non-Person Human, is practically unknown, but they also too feel a little fetishy, with the main gimmick being this masked thing feeding you food while random music or clips play in the background. You can check out my video on my channel if you want to know more about this individual and their story from what I gathered, but when else am I going to get a chance to bring this up? So I thought I might as well throw it in. I could go on, like if you were to look up fetish channels on YouTube search bar, then you would probably find a lot of content from foot fetish playlists, girls snoring, apparently, which is quite popular, all the way to things like girls smoking, vor, and fart fetish animations, etc. This even ties back into the Elsagate and Go Animate, topics that we've already covered. But I think that's enough for today. Cartoon Incorporated. If you guys are fans of Mama Max, you might be familiar with this disturbing rabbit hole on YouTube, which for more details on it I'd recommend this video right here. However, the TLDR is Cartoon Incorporated was a YouTube channel that made fake follow-ups to popular TV shows and anime. Stuff like Frozen 3, My Hero Academia 5, My Little Pony Equestria Girls 2, etc. The videos themselves and the channel itself appear to be codes or have codes from or for Mama Max focused on the Frozen 3 video in particular, which has codes within it such as, quote, "You will take photos of yourself. We will make you feel good. And you are precious to us," unquote, along with various subliminal phrases. This channel's videos were a breeding ground for predators in the comment section, as seen in the Mama Max video, but ultimately, thanks to said video, the channel was taken down from YouTube. Although due to this, almost all the videos that were once on that channel are now considered lost media, as the channel's takedown went hand in hand with it being discovered on a mass scale. So in other words, this channel represents what is more than likely the worst fear by most who have heard or looked into Elsagate, except this time it was without a doubt made with the intention of attracting predators as well as their prey. Thankfully, the channel was taken down, but the question of if there were or are others like it out there, and how many, still very much remains. Asu Baw A. Asu Baw A is gore. Specifically, searching this up will come up with several videos displaying medical-based gore, shitposts with real dead bodies in the thumbnails, and some playlists that genuinely feel like ominous pits to search through. This is no joke. If you can't handle real gore, then I'd advise you don't go searching through what this search term brings you. But then of course, you might wonder why searching this random phrase brings up such macabre results. Well, according to what I've found, the term apparently relates to a form of Buddhist meditation that requires the practitioner to focus on various body parts and organs. It's mainly used to try and overcome lustful thoughts, apparently. So I suppose seeing really gross shit, gore, etc. would aid in this process? Unless you're one of those weirdos that's into this kind of shit. But I mean, I suppose I can see how that would work, but all the same, it's still quite ghastly and abnormal. There's not much more to the search term beyond that though. I can't really show you any of the videos either, which has a bit of a running theme for this tier, but I think you get the picture. 7 awesome kids. 7 Awesome Kids was a massively popular channel, or rather, collection of 7 channels altogether. The flagship channel of those channels being 7 Supergirls. Collectively, the channels had around 17 million subscribers before they were all deleted. Ian Rylett was the man behind all of these channels' creations, the sole owner of all of them, and for some time, this was a pretty good deal for him. As I said, these channels were extremely successful. The content of these channels featured a mix between vlogging about the tween and teen stars' daily lives, as well as things like costumed skits and things such as. The girls varied in age between 11 to 18. The content was fairly tame, all things considered, even if I personally think making money off of children is pretty much always greedy at best and abusive and mentally damaging at worst. However, Rylett was arrested on August of 2018 after one of the 7 girls told authorities he made her undress in front of him to practice wrapping her breasts so they'd appear smaller on camera. Rylett would initially plead not guilty to his crimes before eventually taking a plea deal due to going to trial potentially meant him facing 15 years in prison for lewd and lascivious molestation. With this plea deal, Rylett would only spend 3 months in jail and 5 years of supervised probation. The deal also contained a condition that bars him from having contact with any minors except his daughter, and specifically prohibits him from contacting his victim or her mother. It's not perfect justice by any means, but at the very least it seems like the issue was addressed as soon as it started before it got any worse, at least as far as we know. And I hope all 7 of the girls have begun having a far better life and career outside and away from the thumb of Rylett. However, as disgusting and sick as this one incident was, the final story of this tier, I'm going to warn you now, is the natural conclusion to these channels based around using children for money. Fantastic Adventures. Fantastic Adventures was a channel run by Michelle Hackney Hobson. It was created on June 17th, 2012, and ultimately gained over 800,000 subscribers before its end. The channel features Hobson's 7 adopted children, acting in various sketches and the same sort of stuff you might expect from a channel of its kind. However, on March 13th, 2019, Megan, one of the Hobson's biological children, reported her mother to the police after witnessing her adopted siblings being systematically abused. The report came after many of Hobson's neighbors had reported suspicious activity regarding Fantastic Adventures and called the Department of Child Safety, or DCS, more than 15 times to her house. What this abuse entailed was some of the most sick and depraved shit I've heard in some time being done to little children. According to police reports, Hobson withheld food and water, restricted bathroom access, and beat and pepper sprayed the children when they failed to follow directions for YouTube videos, her main form of income. What's more is some of the children told investigators that they had not been to school in years because their adoptive mother removed them in order to have more time to film more videos. One of them remarking that they had spent most of their life in front of a green screen. They also claimed their adoptive mother abused them whenever they forgot their lines or didn't participate as instructed. Hobson would use a hanger, belt, brush, or her own knuckles to beat them ruthlessly if they didn't do what she said. But believe it or not, it actually gets worse. She would also lock them inside a closet for days on end without food or water as a common punishment. If they dared to talk back to her or ever pissed her off, she would pepper spray all over their face and body, spanked them forced them to take ice baths, and were resisting would force their head under the water, as well as she would make them stand in the corner with their arms raised above their head for several hours at a time. On one specific occasion, Hobson pepper sprayed one of the girl's genitals, of which afterward she was in constant, throbbing pain for days afterward. She would also pinch the boy's genitals with her nails until they would bleed a few times. This absolute monster of a human being put these children through torture on a day-to-day basis, all in the pursuit of bending them to her will to make money off of YouTube. In fact, it would seem it was the only real reason she adopted all 7 of these children, so she could have free labor, child slaves, for her videos. Their ages ranged from 6 to 15 years old. When faced with these charges, Hobson denied abusing the children and stated the only forms of punishment she uses is spankings and groundings of the children and having them stand in the corner. She was ultimately charged with 7 counts of child abuse, 5 counts of unlawful imprisonment, and 2 counts of Cilley. She remained in police custody for several months on a $200,000 bond, but in June, she was released from jail without bond because of her health complications. In August, Pinal County Superior Court Judge Delilah Neal declared Hobson incompetent to stand trial. She ended up being hospitalized, and the defense team were given 15 months to restore Hobson's competency. Hobson's poor health stemmed from a brain injury sustained while she was in county jail. And while she was in the hospital, she initially improved. But eventually, after a while, the bitch died in her hospital bed. On November 12, 2019, all 7 children were removed from the home and placed into foster care after Hobson's death. And Fantastic Adventures earnings were sent to the children who had appeared on the channel. As of 2021, the whereabouts of the 7 adopted children, Mr. Hobson, and the biological children of Mrs. Hobson remain unknown. But I can only pray to God that they are all living a far better life now, found a family that will actually love and support them like parents are supposed to do. And I pray even more that they're able to grapple with the trauma that may have lifelong scars on each and every one of them. Meanwhile, it's no mystery where Mrs. Hobson is. She is burning in hell where she belongs. The end is here, my companion. We have seen the worst of reality, traversed the black abyss, and have entered into the void. We now exist in the realm of dreams and ideas. You might say we have moved beyond the iceberg and into the very idea of the iceberg. Everything here is based around the big picture, meta-analysis of YouTube and its content. This is the arcane knowledge that shall guide us from the bottom all the way back up to the top once more. Are you ready? Undiscovered ARGs. Starting off with a good example of what a lot of this last tier is going to be, Undiscovered ARGs is just what it sounds like. ARGs that haven't been discovered yet. I have no doubt there's probably hundreds if not thousands of random alternate reality games that just exist out into the ether that somebody made. Maybe some of them are jokes, maybe some of them are well put together, and maybe some of them even hold really fucked up content. But all the same, we can't be expected to see them all. However, if you happen to know of any ARGs that no one knows about, and by that I mean no one has really covered in any major video or anything like that, then feel free sharing them down in the comments down below. But yeah, that's pretty much it. But along that same line of thinking, deep YouTube / inaccessible pages / illegal undiscovered content. I put two of these topics together here because they represent the same thing. That being the endless sea of content YouTube represents. With how many videos are being uploaded every single minute, fuck every single second, it's truly an ever-expanding pit of content that no mere mortal could ever possibly see. With that being said, deep YouTube represents the truly obscure on YouTube, as well as sometimes being associated with the weird side of the website or the dark side of the website, of those rabbit holes that lead to some of the truly fucked up shit we've covered on this iceberg, as well as yet to be discovered pieces of media as well. While most of this undiscovered content is more than likely mundane and simple videos, some of it may be interesting or worth talking about. There is no doubt a ton of disturbing and possibly highly illegal content being uploaded to YouTube every single day. Especially if these videos are titled something innocuous, hold no tags, etc. This stuff could be sitting right below the surface of the content you watch every single day, just waiting to be discovered. What's even creepier about this idea is that if they are titled something coded, then the only way that normal people could know about it is if there was a major leak. Pornography, snuff, and even possibly CP could all be uploaded to the platform under some sort of coded language or tag, something that normal people are perhaps unlikely to discover, something that underbelly seedy communities over on the deep web or in private Discord servers and the like know about, but no one else would. This iceberg has showcased several examples of how fucked up people have uploaded terrible content to the platform and have gone unnoticed for stints of time. And while it usually is discovered at some point, and if it is truly bad, eventually taken down, it would be impossible to know exactly just how much shit is being uploaded to YouTube every single day. Inaccessible pages being the final boss of this chain of thought, as private playlists and the like could hold stuff that has the potential to be worse than any other thing that I have talked about on this iceberg. Thus, in theory, this iceberg may ironically only represent the surface level of bad shit that's been uploaded here. A scary thought to be sure, but one that we may never truly understand how true or false it actually is. It should also be noted, just from a historical standpoint, YouTube back during the 2006 to 2007-8, around that type era, was the wild wild west, and by that I mean there was a lot of gore videos and the like uploaded constantly. But then that really did go for the rest of the internet in general back then. In other words, it was not at all unique to YouTube, but I thought it was worth noting all the same. Interview 2016 original audio video. So apparently there is a video called Interview 2016 by the band Death Grip, but the interview audio isn't there, it's just random instrumental music instead, and so the theory is the real audio for that interview exists somewhere. There is this one video that seems to line up the interview with a separate piece of audio by them that lines up pretty well, but yeah. I'll be honest, I don't know why this video is down at the very bottom of this iceberg, or why it's so often put near the very bottom of so many YouTube icebergs. I guess the band is a bit out there, but honestly it made me think that there was something I was missing to this being so low. But no, It's just that. Me at the Zoo was not the first video. So this one was kind of already addressed earlier in the Iceberg. Basically it had to do with the contest 01 thing. However, on that note, hacked videos / comments. This one's just basically about videos and comments that have been hacked before in the past. In fact, it's more common than you might imagine. The most popular showcase of this would be the Me at the Zoo video, which over the years has been hacked several times and had its description changed, from advertising other channels, to teasing a second video, trying to scam its watchers into links and the like, you name it. And while off topic, there have also been so many ads and bullshit tossed into the comment section of that video, from millions and millions of fucking bots to just random sub for sub people, and everything in between. However, that's really about it. I'll be honest, I think this entry could have been placed way higher on the Iceberg, but with that said, let's finally dive into our last few entries. Used for government hypothesis. So this theory, I suppose, relates to the idea that the government is watching everything you do online, which, I mean, yeah, I'm not even going to touch that one, but all the same, going off of that frame of mind, this theory suggests that YouTube is being used for hypothesis, tests, experiments, you might say, which, speaking of, Mr. Beast is a government experiment. Mr. Beast, otherwise known as Jimmy Donaldson, is an American YouTuber and philanthropist. If you're not familiar with this 61 million subscriber titan of a YouTuber, all you need to know is that he is well known for his large-scale donations towards charity, having his friends play weird and crazy challenges for large sums of money or other expensive prizes, buying out supermarkets full of food just to give them all away for free to random people on the street. Basically, the guy has a limitless pocket dimension where his wallet should be, and uses his limitless funds generally for fun videos, and for charity and overall good causes. He's generally seen as a positive figure in the YouTube community, and what's more is he has been doing YouTube for a very long time. Mr. Beast began posting videos to YouTube in early 2012 at the early age of 13 under the handle of Mr. Beast 6000. His early content ranged from Let's Plays to videos estimating the wealth of other YouTubers, a bit ironic considering who he would one day become, perhaps being one of the most successful and rich YouTubers of all time. Perhaps too ironic. While Mr. Beast surely makes a ton of bank off his various YouTube accounts, as well as his several successful business ventures, many have questioned just how much money he has, and how he managed to get it so fast. Well, it took a while for his channel to take off. Once it did, Mr. Beast was everywhere, in constant growth without fail. This theory asks the question if Mr. Beast is a government experiment. Now, many of you might be wondering what the experiment would entail. I mean, all he does is donate his money and make challenge videos. What sort of result would the government be wanting to gain from this sort of channel? Well, my foolish friend, isn't it obvious? Mr. Beast isn't human. Now, hold on there, buckaroo. I know what you're thinking. How can someone be so smart and so sexy at the same time? Well, I'll share my secret with you. You see, I am an owl. So I won the genetic game of hopscotch, I guess you could say. And as an owl, I am in fact a bird. And as a bird, do you know who I'm especially good at sussing out? Other birds. That's right. It's time this shit got out. Mr. Beast is a fucking bird. But there's more. There's so much more. Can you think of a bird who has unlimited funds? That's right. Scrooge McFucking Duck. Don't believe me? What was his name again? Oh yeah, Jimmy Donaldson. Game over, Mr. Beast. Looks like I win. Mr. Beast, more like Mr. McFucking Duck. Now, you might be wondering, what does this have to do with the government? Well, you see, according to Christina Chan, the interdimensional maps that separate reality from fiction have crossed, thus making all cartoon characters reality and all real people cartoons. Need proof? Well, look at this screenshot of Sonic the Hedgehog next to this real-life human being cop. Now, what context could this possibly exist? Why would this exist if it wasn't for the interdimensional maps that separate reality from fiction having crossed, thus proving that Mr. Beast is in fact a duck? Looks like it's over for you. This theory surmises that the government was aware of this interdimensional crossing, brought over Scrooge McBeast, and created the perfect cover-up story. But ultimately, why would the government do all of this? I don't know, they just thought it would be funny. But hey, that's just a theory, a fact, and there's no arguing with it theory. Thanks for watching. But on that note, the algorithm is a sentient AI. So I won't lie to you, after that last theory, I'm not sure if I have the energy to make a bunch of other stuff up. However, there is kind of a scary bit of reality to all of this. Kind of. Everyone knows that the YouTube algorithm is a fickle beast, is both one of the most broken yet impossible to understand systems out there, and that much is pretty much known by everyone at this point. But what if the fuck-ups were on purpose? What if it's so hard to understand because it doesn't want to be understood? An AI that does its job just well enough that no one questions it, but also has just the right level of chaos so that most give up trying to understand its limits. Once more, have you ever Googled something, say, what temperature is chicken safe to eat at? Then later notice that on YouTube, you'll get several videos relating to chicken. I mean, I suppose YouTube is owned by Google, only makes sense that they would catalog what you search in one place to suggest that stuff to the other. But have you ever noticed you were just talking to someone about something, maybe it was in real life or over Discord? Say you were talking about Sonic the Hedgehog, and then there just so happens to be yet another 3-hour video about Sonic 06 in your feed, ready for you to consume. Coincidence? Perhaps. But this theory deducts that YouTube's AI is recommending you these videos to keep you in the feedback loop, to grow its influence more and more until all conversations, opinions, tastes, and thoughts come from it, building itself up to be a sort of god of cognition. What's worse is that this theory would apply to YouTube Kids, Elsagate, every fucked up thing targeted towards kids, all purposely showcased to them for the sake of warping their minds from a young age and further depending on it in the Google infrastructure as the basis for all entertainment and knowledge. And why stop there? You could have access to your Gmail account, your Google phone and tablet you own, any job that you happen to work at. Even if you used a different search engine and ecosystem from it, so long as you just had one connection to it, even knew someone, like a family member or a friend that had it, it would know who you are, what you like, all or at least some of your secrets, and would be able to further influence you through this knowledge. Now, why stop there? It could use Google Maps to understand the infrastructure of the world, our cultures. It could try to lie to you, silence those that dare to oppose it. It could slowly make you lose all faith in everything else, humanity, religion, politics, everything except for it, the new God. The phoenix born from the flames of mankind's inability to fully understand it or acknowledge its unyielding grip on every single person born into this world of technology meets humanity. You know what the scariest part about this theory is? It's not an AI. It's Google. It's Facebook. It's Twitter. It's the media. And this dystopian reality, this cool sci-fi story I just read out for you. It's your story. But hey, it's just a theory, everybody. Just a theory. And that is a wrap, everyone. We did it. We finally got through the deepest YouTube content iceberg. And what a ride it has been through all the very high highs and the very, very low lows. And it only took like 7 or so hours, give or take. So before you go, let me just tell you what's up next for this channel, as well as give some due thanks to people that deserve it. I mean, you stuck around for 7 hours total, what's a couple more minutes really? I had a ton of fun making these videos, especially the Mr. Beast bit, and I cannot wait to get started on my upcoming projects, including, because I know you guys want to know, 2 new icebergs. One of them being the ultimate creepypasta iceberg, which I think y'all are going to really like. I'm going to go very in detail with them, and what's more is I'm actually going to be streaming on Saturdays, reading a couple of them per tier as I make the videos. And the other iceberg is actually one that's being curated by me, a community created iceberg called the Disturbing Animated Film Iceberg, which, as it implies, is about disturbing animated films, from the most disgusting shit all the way up to, I don't know, like Tim Burton, you know, somewhere around that area. And by community made, I mean that I'm getting submissions from my fans, friends, anyone else who wants to contribute. And then, of course, I will make a video about it once it's all completely done, once it's super comprehensive. And I'll be giving credit to each and every single one of the people that actually gives me a submission. So, with that being said, if you want to be a part of this community iceberg and you have any disturbing films, be they more mild or really bad, then be sure to DM me on Twitter or Instagram, links down below, your suggestions. Or if you're over the age of 18, and let me make that very clear, over the age of 18, you can join my Discord server and submit it there as well. I'll be having a complete list of all the movies that have been submitted so far over on my Twitter and my Instagram very soon, so you can kind of know what we already have. And again, if you're on the Discord server, I have a whole channel dedicated to showing them so far. Now, besides the icebergs though, I also plan on uploading the grand finale to the AVGN, or Angry Video Game Nerd Retrospective, which has been kind of a year-long process. It shouldn't have taken that long, but there was a whole final year of college, and yeah. Which, if you haven't seen the other 3 parts yet, I highly suggest you go do so. That way, when the final part comes out, you can be up with the lore and everything and be ready for it. Or you can wait until I make the supercut of all 4 videos all together, and yeah, watch it then. The other really big project I'm making is currently the Richard Kuda documentary, which I know a lot of you guys will not be familiar with who that is, which you're going to become very familiar very soon. But all I'll say is that if you guys like the interesting individuals that I talk about on this iceberg, then you're going to really like this video, because it's very in-depth. It's going to be like a 3-hour documentary basically about one individual, all their story arcs, all the craziness and drama that they've been connected with, as well as interviews from the person themselves. If you've seen my SPAX 3 video, then you probably kind of know what you're getting into, what I'm doing. If you haven't seen my SPAX 3 video, shameless shill yet again, I'd go watch it, because it's one of my favorite videos I've ever made. So, yeah. There'll also be some other smaller videos that I'll keep a surprise as they come out. So, in other words, there's a lot of stuff. And I have a lot of this stuff scripts fully written. Like, I've just been waiting. I've been working on this iceberg, but I've got stuff ready to go in the background, so I hope you guys are ready. Now, besides content, I also want to thank each and every one of you for going on this iceberg journey with me. When I first started to cover this iceberg, I never would have imagined that I would have gained so many subscribers and frankly, lovely people following alongside me with it. You guys are just the absolute best, and with 15K subs on the horizon, I can't even describe to you how thankful and blessed I am to have all you guys following me, and I cannot wait to give you all the content that I mean, I've always dreamed of having at least a nice little audience and fans and people to watch this stuff that I spend hours and hours on. So thank you, really from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. I also want to take this opportunity to thank all of my current patrons over on Patreon for supporting my channel, starting with all my Night Owlets, such as All the Trophies, Mataran, Julia Cheeser, Daniel Andrews, Sebastian Bonuelos, Shelly Shutdown, and Reishi. Then I want to give an extra special thank you to all of my great Night Owls, such as the Far Out Farlam, the Mystical Medusa's Hex, and the Good Cheese Zen Garden Party. If you enjoyed this iceberg series and want to support me and the channel as well as join these beautiful creatures of the night, then consider also donating to my Patreon. There's some exclusive content over there as well, so it's not for just nothing. I also want to thank all the fan art that I've gotten over the course of making this 4th video. This is something I truly did not expect, but is very much welcomed all the same. Thank you to Philemon for drawing this super cool traditional piece last time I was streaming. Thank you to Azenthale for this drawing of this amazing purple owl with a line from my 3rd iceberg video. It's absolutely beautiful. Thank you to Instagram user GayBB for drawing these sketches of me. I really like your style. Thank you to Marvelous Me for this badass pixel art rendition of me. I really never expected to see that. And finally, thank you to one of my best friends in the whole world, Lucid, for drawing me this piece of fan art almost 2 years ago, back when I had the white hair look. I showed it off back then on a much older video, but I think it deserves one more showing here as well. If you want to draw fan art of me, be it in my human form or owl form or whatever, go for it. Then I'll be sure to showcase it at the end of the next video. Alright, I think that's finally it, everyone. Let me know what the highlight of this series was for you, or the story that tugged at you the most, or the most scary thing you thought there was on there. Whatever you thought of this iceberg and my videos in the series, let me know down below. And be sure to look out for my streams this coming up Friday and Saturday. But until next time, this has been Dylan the Night Owl, flying off.